You got a new track?
Oh, now we've been working on the last 5 days. I was Billy Pablo. You know, Tash came up, and you know what that means. We was getting busy and working on these movies.
Status.
Yeah, so I got to get back to being regular again. I've been a rock star for the last week. So I'm like, you know, kind of detoxing and all that. Kind of. But, you know, Senator...
Hey,
huh?
George Floyd brother's going to be in L.A. this weekend.
Oh,
just
yeah?
FYI.
You know, my man David Lipman has been making a documentary about them. And, you know, he's real close to the family. He was up there with him. You know, he asked me if you know him, David Lipman. He's, you know, he's a white boy, but he's very artistic. He's a good friend of mine, like my brother.
Okay.
But he's fly, like Oscar probably. But he's been right with him. He's been with him the whole time, documenting the whole shit.
That's dope.
Yeah.
If y'all at the studio, you might...
Yeah, just tell him when he come through. You know what it is when he come through. You tell him to pull up. We work it out.
All right.
You know, we'll definitely work it out. So Senator.
Yes, sir.
You know, we haven't spoken in a while, or we speak a lot, but we haven't spoke publicly in a while. I know that here's Lou. I know that you've been passing a lot of laws. So, you know, for me, I think it's important that, you know, our culture knows exactly what people from our culture are doing. And you're one of those guys that, you know, are just out there making things happen, and just sometimes, you know, the rest of the culture doesn't know. So what you've been up to the last couple of weeks, I know we were talking about you constructing certain laws to get passed, and then you was calling me back like, yo, we got the law passed.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
So what the...
Yeah.
Hey, Lou.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, put it on mute for a second, and then make it so we can see you. I got my man...
Put it on mute. How you put it on mute?
It says mute.
Put it on mute, then put it so we can see him.
Yeah. But put it on mute and then make it so your camera's on. And then I was thinking we could talk about some prison reform with one of my good friends that just came home from doing 29 or 27 years, and talk about those kind of things as well. So, you know, while Lou's getting it together, I just wanted to really talk about these laws you've been passing lately and what's been going on in Indiana.
You mean that?
Wait, hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Lou, I can hear you, but I can't see you, so you got to press the camera part. But press mute though, so he can talk, so that he's talking. So what you were saying, Senator? I'm sorry, I put myself on mute.
No, it's all good. So we've been in session since January. What's up, brother? Yeah,
he on mute now.
Since January, man, and that's been going on Monday through Thursday. Like, you and I touch base at the end of the week. I give you an update on how things are going, the laws that we passed, and everything. So once we got in the session, of course, we were dealing with, every state is dealing with COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19. We're dealing with race relations, we're dealing with police brutality, all of those things that every single state dealing with right now. So if you remember, Dave, at the height of the unrest, when the protest was taking place after the death of George Floyd, after the death of Brianna Taylor, myself and all the Black Caucus members, we started doing town halls virtually. We started meeting with grassroot organizations, the Black Lives Matter, youth groups across the state of Indiana. We even met with law enforcement. So we crafted a piece of legislation, and we walked through the process of how a bill becomes a law before. So we crafted the language, and the bill that we crafted in Indiana is called House Bill 1006. Essentially, House Bill 1006 says that the use of a chokehold is illegal. And if the officer uses a chokehold, they're not immune to any type of repercussions, right? We require certain type of implicit bias training for police officers. So that means that you have to become an officer. You have to go through this training and maintain this training annually to stay an officer of racial bias, implicit bias, things like that. Mm. We also enacted a piece of legislation within that bill that says that if you get caught slipping, if things go wrong, if you, as an officer, get fired, we can decertify you as a police officer. Mm. That's a big deal. That means that you just can't go anywhere else and become a police officer.
Right.
So I had a bill, which was Senate Bill 110, that we folded into House Bill 1006. Senate Bill 110 says that essentially I'm requiring all police departments to share data with other police departments. So if you're a bad police officer, you just can't get fired from one location in the city and go to another police department in another city and get hired.
Right.
Right. So that's an example of what took place in our police reform bill. There's just a little glimpse of it. Mm. But it's historic. In a state like Indiana that has the home of the Ku Klux Klan, has historic racism, it was bipartisan support because folks knew and they seen the unrest in Indianapolis downtown. They seen the unrest in Gary, Indiana. They seen the unrest in southern Indiana. And they knew that the state had to act and show a progressive approach towards police relations. Now, I'll say this is just the beginning. When it comes down to police reform, we're just scratching the surface. A lot of folks think just adopting a body cam in a city or state is the fix. That's not the fix. We also require body cams as well for our state police officers. But here's the trick about the body cam. If that camera don't come on, what's the use of it?
Right.
If that camera not fixing that footage, what good is that camera?
Right. So
we made it illegal for that police officer to turn that camera off or not activate that camera when they interact with it. Mm. So that's just one of the bills right there.
That's incredible that you're getting that done. Incredible. Now, I want to introduce you to my friend, my brother. I've known him since I was about 15 years old. And, you know, he's a legend in the street for sometimes doing the wrong things. But at the end of the day, he's done his time. And, you know, he's home. He's done 27 years. His name is Lou Sims. He's the subject matter of a lot of the things that I talk about and honor up. And when I talk about the things that define me, but I just think he can give you a firsthand glimpse and look about the things that were going on in the prison system that needed to be changed, and maybe bringing you aware of some things, you know, that how you can help the same way we did with when we spoke with Faris. Basically, they're from the same crew.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Lou, yeah.
Yeah, how you doing, bro?
So
I'm good. So good to be home, like, but like I was talking to Dave, like earlier this week about certain things that they took from us in prison. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first went to prison in the early 90s, you know, with better food, you know what I'm saying, better exercise equipment, you know what I'm saying? And that it helped kept the jail calm, you know what I'm saying? But now that we don't have that in the system, you know what I'm saying, people be more prone to violence there, you know what I'm saying?
Like they got to internalize their frustrations, and that was a form of therapy for them, and they took it away.
Yeah, like the food there got worse. You know what I'm saying? You can go to the food, and the food was cooked there before you. And the reason why I'm bringing this up because the taxpayers is paying more tax dollars now than they was paying back then, and we want to know where's this money going to, because the gymnasium, our recreation department don't have no upkeep as far as like treadmills, basketballs, and any workout equipment. You know what I'm saying? The food is unedible now. You ain't even eating the food. So basically, if you don't have no money, you starving in there. You know what I'm saying? People basically living off of commissary in there, and the commissary is based on a bunch of sodium and sweets, because I caught diabetes in there and I caught high blood pressure in there off of the food that's not in there. Then I'm listening to you talk about the racism. you got a lot of racism in the prison system, because I see how COs is one thing or another. You know what I'm saying? One dude probably be bucking for this because his toilet ain't been fixed in a week or two and he ain't got no weather to release himself, and they'll come in and instead of them moving them or fixing it, they'll cause a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? And fake like fake like you bucking on it, man, and it don't be no kind of resistance. You know what I'm saying? Before they put you in restraints and all that, they force you into that. You know what I'm saying? Before they even bring the cameras. I remember at one time they had to have the lieutenant and all the chain of command there before and put you on camera before they put you in restraints. Now they just go on and doing it. And I believe it's like that because we don't have a lot of people that's looking into the prison system now, or a lot of rip writers that we had back then that's writing this stuff up and letting this stuff be known. And
right.
me being
question. Was this federal or state?
This federal.
It's federal. What state were you in?
Well, I came home from Beaumont, Texas. But I done been in every state it is. You know what I'm saying? I've been to their lockdown programs. And like Lewisburg lockdown program, I don't know if you heard that the lawsuits that have been filed in Lewisburg, I don't know if that's why they closed it down, but the lawsuit that was filed in Lewisburg, every day they had something going on in it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they was promoting the violence there. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll put me and you in a cell. They know we ain't supposed to be together because jail is segregated. It's like on territorial and racial. You know what I'm saying? If this man on the same time and I'm a Muslim, we ain't supposed to be in a cell together. You know what I'm saying? Or we ain't supposed to wreck together. But they was doing it anyway to retaliate on certain things that you say you don't want to take a trade. Say I'm on common fare, and they trying to force me to take a regular trade because they don't want to go to the mess hall to get a common fare trade for me. So I don't take it. So me and him start beefing, and I tell him I'm gonna write him up for it. The next thing I know, when I go to rec, I'm going in the cage with somebody that I'm not affiliated with. So they expected for me and that person to get into it as a retaliation. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll set you up and put a raise in your. See, they got phases in these programs. You know what I'm saying? So they probably set you up when you go to rec, put a raise in your book. Say you found a raise in there, and that set you back from say stage 4 to stage 1 all over again. It's a lot of it's not only going on in the street. You know what I'm saying? We're not only being oppressed in society, we also being oppressed on lockdown too. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have no look forward, look and check into these things. Like I said, a lot of funds is being misplaced.
So I'm going to go back to that health component though, right? So you talked about the diet. What about the health care, right? When you need to go see a doctor, when you need to have some medical attention, what is that like?
I'm going to explain this to you right now. And I got lawyers to back this up. I had put in for the COVID since I try to get an early release before I got released on the COVID because of my health. I fit all the criteria: diabetes, high blood pressure. I fit all the criteria that the Attorney General said that was required for that release. I still haven't got my prison records yet. I mean, I submitted my motion without my prison records, without my prison medical records, due to the fact they never gave it to me. And I had filed this one, which was March or May, and I still haven't get like in September when they denied it. And still when I still didn't get my medical records.
The question sent in
Then when I was talking to.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going back to your buddy. I forgot the guy's name. You mentioned him earlier, Dane, that we talked to.
Faris.
Some of the similar.
Faris.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I had a family reach out to me, and they were saying that that their loved one, which was in an Indiana prison where I'm at, was telling them that they kept them corralled during COVID, like in a kind of like a a surge area. There was no division. There was no 6 feet apart. There was no isolation during this time. And the only way that COVID could get into the prison was if someone externally brought it in. And I had to literally go to the governor to tell them that this family is telling me that their loved one is showing symptoms of COVID. And they got them all isolated into a general populous area. And no one was paying him any attention. So we went to the governor. Thankfully, he tested positive. Then they put him into some treatment, and they started treating him for COVID-19, right? So I can only imagine when you're dealing with thousands upon thousands of people, and you're trying to maintain a pandemic in a confined area. I can't imagine how that could have been, man. He said they wasn't giving them masks, no hands, anything like that. How was it?
Was this in the state?
Yeah, this was at the state prison. Was there any similarities? How did they handle you guys during COVID?
They gave us masks, right? But see, this is another thing. I'm glad you brought that up because in order for you to go home, you had to take 2 COVID tests, right? So they had a quarantine unit, right? Which I didn't understand because why they would use it as a quarantine unit. Because why would they put me in a unit where I'm leaving to go out? So I'm taking my test to leave to go out. But they bring people in, right? And got me mingling with people coming in, I'm trying to say to be quarantined. Then you got people that's being transferred. So all these people coming in one quarantine unit. You know what I'm saying? So why would if I'm going home and you got people coming from another prison that may have it, that means I can catch it. You understand what I'm saying? That means I can catch it. Then you got people that's going on transfer that could catch it too. So all of us mingling, we're using the same phones, the same computers, whatever time they are locking us out to take showers and all this, you know what I'm saying, without even wiping these stuff down. That's what they doing in the quarantine unit. And when I question this, that's how they doing it. Instead of out, people going out, being in one unit or being on one range, they got us all mixed together and it's still together and everything in Beaumont.
So Senator, my question is this: in real time, like while he just came home, so while this is going on, we're speaking and I'm hearing about these things. I have other friends that are doing time that are still in there, and cousins and people that you are aware of. How do we change things? How do we architect laws to police the police? And how do we make it where, they come out healthy as opposed to unhealthy, or how do we make it where they get the therapy that they need? And that, these type of things, because basically it feels like people are pulling triggers. You're just making people and putting them in scenarios where unless they have therapy, they're going to react. How does that make things better?
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. One is building allies and advocates with the legislatures across the state. That's what the state is, having individuals like myself and others. I don't want to just say it's a black caucus thing, because it's not just a black caucus thing in every state. But you need individuals that's paying attention to the issues and to the section. Right now, I'm helping to build the state budget. Every day, I'm talking about mental health. I'm talking about healthcare. I'm talking about education. I'm talking about environmental. So you have to have people that, like you said earlier, that subject matter experts on things that are in the legislature that are passionate about criminal justice reform, passionate about prison reform, passionate about police reform. And that's going to carry that torch in these state houses across the country. Now, that's the state level. On the federal level, you need people like Congressman Carson and so many others that can address those federal issues and of passing legislation to address these concerns. One of the issues I had, and Dame, if you remember, when Duke came home, you know, and brother, I don't know how they transition you out, but there should be some type of a transition to help you get your birth certificate, to get your social security card, to get your driver's license, your ID. Because if you just throw somebody out on the street and they don't have any form of identification, they don't have any way to get any health care, they don't have any way to get any of this information to get their life on the right track, you set them up for failure out the gate. Those are some simple things that I think we could do as states and across the country just to help folks transition back into society. And so many prisons are taking away these type of programs where folks are not getting their degrees. They're taking away the scholarship opportunities because I believe if you have a federal offense, you can't get a Pell Grant if you want to go to college.
Right. But
So-
you got, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
that's part of the counselor's job to get you the birth certificate, Social Security, even funds, immediate funds for you when you come home. But they're not doing their job. You know what I'm saying? That's part of them not doing their job. That's what I'm trying to say. In the prison system right now, it's they're abusing powers. They're abusing their privilege. They're abusing their power, as well as mismanaging funds. Meaning that if an investigation would come, they would see the funds that we supposed to be getting, or that's afforded to prisoners. One prisoner alone, we not getting it. Even for one prisoner to eat, it don't cost. They not giving us what we supposed to get. I just do. And far as like the counselors, they not doing their jobs. You know what I'm saying? Far as like preparing us for like with the proper documents that we need to get home. Even though if we ask them a year, 6 months ahead of time, they're not doing it. That's the problem right now, that we going back and forth right now to trying to get these IDs so we can just have some type of work or even some kind of ID just to walk around with. You know what I'm saying? That we in our pocket, because we keep going back and forth, and we got to give all the information that we got to give for like the birth certificate and the Social Security. We don't have it when the prison system could have got it right then and there. They gave it to us. Even the jobs, you know, they not going to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I said, everything I came in the system, everything changed. You know, when we took classes for like work classes for education, for plumbing, refrigerator, all that, it was on hand jobs. Now it's paper. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too much you can learn from paper. We can read that, but at the same time, if we don't have no on hand skills with it, we never know. You know? So I got like over 100 certificates, right? All of them is on paper. None of them I physically did but a floor job. You know what I'm saying? Buffing and floor care.
Right.
You know, so therefore, if I showed it to a job, they ask me, yeah, I know the procedures for like to do it, but at the same time, I never did it before because everything the tests, all I took was on paper. They took all that away. You know, quicker for them, easier for them.
So, Senator, how do we utilize someone that has so much actual experience that others can learn from? How do we utilize him as an asset to get a lot of things done, to bring awareness, and just to overall showcase, you know, these are the recourse and the repercussions of certain things, and this is how you survive it, and this is how you come home and do right. How do we utilize that with what we got?
It's doing exactly this. It's putting a face with the story and giving folks an example of individuals that have served their time and that's prepared to come out society, contribute, raise their family, contribute to society in a positive way. I think, man, you introduced me to so many folks right now that's doing some phenomenal things. It's like, how do you build a coalition nationally of folks that have experienced these things and to tell those stories?
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to forget. It's so easy not to pay attention if you don't have individuals that are constantly advocating. You know, you look at what Loon doing. Loon is working in more promoting and talking about some things around police reform, or criminal justice reform, prison reform. Duke's doing the same thing. It's how do you get all these folks that have the street credibility and respect, right? And they have the respect for folks to listen to them.
It's almost like
Folks listen to them.
it's almost like their version of the commission.
Exactly.
So is there a way we can put together like a nonprofit? Because, you know, all of us are some way, shape, or form related, brothers, whether it's by, you know, friendship or just being in jail together, not to say me, but just in general. How do we bring all that together, make something where you can, you know, actually make a difference and know that there, like, how can we put a blueprint together for that? You know?
Man, I think it's the same way we did when we started forming the commission. Start picking subjects around prison reform. I'll give an example. If it's healthcare within a prison reform, or if it's workforce training in prison reform, whatever the case may be, I would target one specific area. If it's sentencing reform, right? Pick one issue, and people that have been through the system, they bring a more valuable perspective than a person that's never been in the system, than a person that's only going off word of mouth, that's trying to advocate. No, you need people that's been through the system,
like a
people
witness.
that can speak specific.
Right. Because, again, he just came home, and again, through the whole 27 years, our conversations have a lot been about the way they're mistreating him, you know, and also not trying to rehabilitate him. Not like, for me, if I was away for 20 something years, I'm still like crispy, like he's still a young guy. Like, you're going to have to be very concerned about what you're going to do when you come home. That's going to give you a lot of anxiety. Going through, you know, even getting arrested and getting charges and putting you in a room and having people, you have no one to talk to. And the weights were the only thing, the working out was the only therapy there was, and there's not that. Then you bring something like a COVID where jail becomes more jail. Like, look how people were acting that were free when they couldn't go outside. Imagine quarantine in a jail, you know, in real time, and where a government's not prepared. I just feel like all of these things need to be brought. There has to be attention to these actual experiences because they just happened. He's just home, not 2 months, 2 weeks rather. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of what we've been doing is just making sure he knows exactly what's going on now, because it's a completely different world than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Imagine 3 decades. How do you expect someone to be all right or not to go back to old ways or to survive? How do you know, it's not preparing you for anything. And then you're not healthy. And you know, it costs a lot of money to have diabetes. So how do we fix this? This is, you know, what do we do?
It's a system that was never designed for us in the first place. You almost got to dismantle it and start from scratch. Bro, what were you doing when they told you they just get a release? Like, what was that feeling?
I was happy, but you got to remember, I was supposed to have been released because due to the law that came out in 2019, the Second Step Act, I was supposed to get a year. I was supposed to get a year, but my counselor put me in for 6 months. They gave me 5 months. So when my wife called the regent and asked her could they fix it for me, the regent said they only could give me what she recommended, but they ain't never seen nothing like that before. As far as like them only giving somebody with my time, putting them in for a year. They said that's the first time they seen that. So they said that's on the counselor, but it's some kind of confliction going on between him and his counselor, which it wasn't, but I guess that's what she did. You know, even when I complained about it, I even wrote it up. I wrote it up and gave it to the, as part of my covert appeal for home confinement. You know, and showed them like, yo, look, I supposed to have been home, but she only put me in for 6 months. I supposed to get put in for a year. You know, so you know, as far as me like how I felt when I was supposed to have been home, I was, you know, got to remember when it passed that day of my year day, I'm like thinking I'm not gonna never come home. Then you got to realize one thing, like my date was the 18th, was February 18th. The storm hit over there in Texas, so that pushed my date to the next week, which I could have came home Thursday because Thursday they had cleared up, so that puts it to the 25th. The next Thursday came, they packed me up, took me all the way to the door, and guess what happened? The person that supposed to come pick me up on the bus to take me to the bus station, he didn't show up. So I had to go all the way back after I gave all my stuff away and been back in the cell. So, you know, I'm thinking it's a conspiracy now. You know what I'm saying? So I came home that Friday, you know what I'm saying, which was alhamdulillah, but at the same time, I'm thinking it's a conspiracy all the way around. You know what I'm saying? From not getting a year, from the storm hitting to them not coming to get me on a proper time for me to leave. I'm dressed out. You know what I'm saying? My legal work and my pictures at the door waiting for them to pick me up. They sent me all the way back to a cell. So you know how I was feeling. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It took a lot out of me. But then once I was free, you know, like I said, it was alhamdulillah, but like I said, it was like, you know, it was just like it was frustrating.
It was anxiety. You're gonna get anxiety.
I remember they think I'm coming home 1 week, then it took me another week. Then the day that I supposed to come home, they flipped it again. You know, so it was. You know, you got to. What I realized since I've been in prison, what I may do, whatever happened to me, is also affect my family, my kids, you know, wife and them too. You know what I'm saying? But it affect them more because they worry more about me because I'm in prison. You know what I'm saying? Then they may read online about how a prison is being conducted, all the violence and all that in the prison. They be like, man, why they got you here and you got this many points and you supposed to be over here? You know what I'm saying? You supposed to be why you got all these points and you in the pen? You know what I'm saying? Because they put mandatory variables on you and hold you there. You know?
You know what? The dots are connected for me. Dame, didn't we write him a letter?
We definitely did.
Their wife reached out to us too.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah. It's all connected now. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. Remember, he was like, there's 2 Lou's in the jail. One did something crazy. I was like, that's not him. Remember, I was like, yeah.
Oh man, welcome home, man.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, so hey Lou, so you here? We was out here fighting to try to get you home. By the way,
fighting from there.
All right.
Everything I could put on paper as far as right from the region to Washington, even into court. Even if I had to pay for it, I was trying to do it, man.
Now here's the thing. Now, Lou,
there's a lot of unjust going on. It's not according to laws, and like I said, a lot of people ain't filing no more. So therefore, they overlooking a lot of stuff until you start about it. You ain't gonna get no leeway, you know.
And so, Lou, let me ask you this: based on your experience and everything you went through, what would you advise someone younger, and what do you want your future to look like?
Well, for someone younger, I'm going to tell them like this. The way the prison system is going right here is a punishment. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't going to advise them to even break any laws. You know what I'm trying to say? And the way I see it now, you know, we get opportunities to grow for people to be financially, you know what I'm trying to say, they get money financially, to be financially stable, where they ain't got to commit no more crimes, because I through my time, I done seen this. You know what I'm saying? I just seen you know what I'm saying, take another path. I seen a whole lot of others. At the same time, like I said, the prison system has gotten worse. You know what I'm saying? And ain't no way you breaking the laws now, because they don't even have to have no physical evidence on you no more. All they need is somebody to say that you did this, and that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I'm telling them right off the top, that's not the way to go. And I'm telling them my experience. You know what I'm saying? You know, from my experience, you know, I made, you know, like I said, certain things I was able to do and may be able to take the punishment, but at the same time, I had to look at the end of the day, I had to look at it how it was affecting my loved ones too. You know what I'm saying? I had to look how it affected them because, you know, even though I was locked down, they want to come see me. They want to hear my phone. They want to hear me on the phone, or they want to get my email. If I'm locked down for doing one misdeed from the next and can't do this, can't give them this, then it's affecting them. You know what I'm saying? When they got to call and check up on, well, how he doing over here, how he doing over there. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the like I said, the laws in society and in the prisons is being abused. You know, so I wouldn't recommend nobody to, you know, not to break no laws. Like, you know,
don't put yourself in a position where you have no control and they can mistreat you because they're not doing it by the law. You know,
especially when you're ready to face the consequences of your actions.
Right. Now that's a hell of a testimony right there, man.
Yeah.
I think with the younger generation, they all think they can do the time, but they don't know what time is. So I think understanding what the recourse of action is may make you not do it. And if you could hear it from someone that did it, didn't tell, you know, admitted whatever they said and did his time to where he could freely speak on his experience, people should be able to learn from it.
Yeah.
You know? They should be able to learn from it. Because he's the real deal.
Whatever we can do on our end, man, just let us know. You know, I know I'm thousands of miles away in another state, but
well, you was one of the ones that was helping him out. We wrote letters on his behalf. You know?
Yeah. No, that's real, man. You got a good friend in Dane, brother.
Yeah. He's one of the ones that helped pay for the lawyers, both lawyers, the federal and the state. You know, because I had two capital cases, one in the feds and one in the state. The one in the state I was convicted of, stayed on death row for 3 years. You know, so they got, yeah. Man, you know, that's right. I thank Allah every day for, you know what I'm saying, give me the blessing to be back in society, just to be back in society, you know what I'm saying, and be able to, you know, help whoever I can help to prevent them from even going up that path that I went, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
because
next man going through a lot, he might can't take it the way I took it, you know.
Yeah.
Like we took different paths, but before we took those paths, there was an oath to a certain kind of brotherhood, you know. So there was always a respect for our brotherhood, no matter what was going on in each other's lives, and you had to respect that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, regardless of what he was, we were still the same friends, regardless of what he was to other people. And regardless of what I am and what I've become, I still respect that brotherhood. And I think that brotherhood is important for those that, you know, kind of live by a certain creed. And when you get pushed to that test, you don't succumb. You actually pass that test and you stay loyal to that cloth that you cut from. You know what I mean? And that's what happens.
Stay honorable, like you said.
Yeah, you know, honorable can be tough when you're doing tough things, you know, but a lot of people lose that honor, and he didn't. You know, he took his time and did it, you know. So, again, I appreciate always getting on the phone or the Zoom and talking to you, Senator. Lou, I think, you know, Lou has a lot going on. He's going to be doing a podcast, a TV show, movies, clothing line, you know, really understanding how to make money in this world today the right way, and, you know, capitalizing off of his history by making and having people learn from it. So we look forward to see what Lou's doing, and we'll see him a lot more. You know, he got a platform. My block's clicking, so his work is welcome there as long as it involves everyone that is listening and looking. You know what I mean? So Lou, thank you.
That's right.
Thank you for always being a good friend. And we'll see more of you, you know, and this will be the first of a lot of different things that we're going to do as it relates to taking your tough experience and making people understand it. Really, they're not built like that. They don't want that. And you know, that's that really. So appreciate y'all, love y'all, and we'll talk later.
If you want another amazing video with the one and only Dame Dash, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.